I know I haven't made a video in a while, but this, I feel I need to explain what happened to me last week at Camp Trans, and do it. And I don't think that a blog, I know I told a lot of you I read a blog, but that's just not going to work. I've got too much to process through, but I need to just talk it out. And I think it would communicate it better. If you don't know, if you're watching this and you don't know, you're watching my YouTube channel or something, you don't know what Camp Trans is or what Mitch Fest is, please look it up, because I'm not going to explain it here. You can read the history online. So I had read about Camp Trans before I went there. I knew kind of what it was about, all this, but I didn't know what to expect. I guess what I expected was it to be mostly trans women, and that trans women who are interested in activism and were radical. I knew that it was a radical event. And that was my big reason for wanting to go, that I wanted to meet other radicals. So I didn't really go in with any expectations, and I could, when I went, I could have cared less to get into the fest. I could have cared less to get into Mitch Fest. That was not why I really went initially. But I actually, after everything that happened last week, I would like to go, actually, now. And make a statement with it, but I can say more about that later. So what happened to me last week, basically, at camp, after I showed up, the first day was pretty, just meeting a few new people and setting up camp and stuff. But the second day, Monday, that I was there, we started doing what they call walking the line, which is where we go, and Mitch Fest opens that day at noon, and a bunch of women line up beforehand to be like the first ones in, I guess. Yeah. And there's people like that, they camp out before the night beforehand just to wait in line the next morning. That's how big this event is. And there were a ton of, just people all around waiting all along this dirt road in the middle of nowhere. And the point was to go up and promote the mission of Camp Trans, to get trans women acceptance and trans women in the Mitch Fest. So we were having a vigil the next night, so what we were doing is passing out flyers for the vigil. We were selling t-shirts. They said trans women belong here on them, and trying to get women to wear them inside the fest. The point was, we asked everyone to wear them for the opening ceremonies, the night of the opening ceremonies, to show strong support. And from what I heard, that was very successful. Those t-shirts, they got on the performers. Women were wearing them all week. Women wrote on them like other signs of support and supportive of trans women. That got graffitied on like porta potty stalls and on billboards. Trans women belong here. And when I was walking the line, yeah, there were people, older second waivers, who were very resistant, but none of them were hostile, very outwardly hostile to me at all. They all were just, their line was something like, we support the policy, the policy of excluding trans women. But others were so, I can't even describe how supportive some were. It's crazy. I had, the second time I had went out for like a shift in the line, most of the people were in their cars and getting into the fest already. So just about everyone had been hit, had been talked to by someone from Camp Trans. Because we had different groups going out through the morning. And so we were walking back with this box of t-shirts, me and 3 other trans women. 2 other trans women. Which the group I went out with before there was one or two other trans women that went out with that group in the morning, but then there was 11 people total. That first time I went out, it was kind of frustrating. I was really nervous. I didn't want to talk to anyone at first. I wanted to kind of have other people take the lead and then see how they did, some of the more experienced people. But I don't think that there were many that went out. Everyone seemed to be really nervous and on edge about it. So, but after a little while, I kind of got the hang of it, and but by that point, like I felt like I was getting talked over by other people in the group, and when I'd go to try and start one of the conversations with one of the groups of people, usually they'd be in like little groups outside their car or go up to a car with someone in it. Someone else would talk before I even got the chance. It's very frustrating, especially being trying to be like the representative, because the makeup of the people that went out there was only, at least in my group, there wasn't many trans women. And these were all other identified people, either just straight allies or genderqueer or FTMs, not trans women, who it just got very frustrating. I was in a conversation with some people, and they were the only ones that I got to talk to at length that were not supportive. But they were nice. They were very cordial. And I got to the point where I was comfortable kind of having a debate about what she was bringing up with her, and I kept getting talked over, and it was just really frustrating every time I go to say something. And then people would walk off. But whatever, I got the hang of it by the end, and it was alright. And I got in a groove for a while at the end, and then I came back in and rested, went back out. Second time I went back out, the cars were going in, and we pretty much hit everybody. This woman, flags me down from one of the cars, and she's in the back seat, and that person's taking off. She's like, here, and she hands me a note, and I'm like, okay. So I open it up and I read the note, and it said, "We can't wait until our trans sisters join us inside Mistfest." And something, and it was drawn like the transgender symbol, and like it was, just said something really nice like that, and it was just awesome. And then I had another car flag me down that just handed me money, and just giving us money, and then the passenger pulled out their wallet and gave him some money. And I was like, "Do you guys want a t-shirt or a button or something?" Because we were selling t-shirts and buttons. And they were like, "Oh no, we already got them. We just, that's how supportive they were. They were just handing me money." Incredible, experience. And at the end of the day, I was thinking, wow, this is a real training ground. It can definitely breed activists. And I don't know. By the end of the day, I was feeling like I was like, this is like the forefront in trans feminism, and I mean that was why it went. But the next day was the infamous vigil, and yeah, I'm gonna see how long this video is running and probably cut this because I need to. That requires another explanation in and of itself.